Hello everyone and welcome. In today's episode, I'm going to show you how to create a fillable PDF. Now, the reason that you might need to do this is if you're teaching online, if you're teaching in face-to-face instruction, you can take that PDF and you can copy it off and hand it out to your students and they can fill it out, turn it in. However, if you're teaching online, that's not as easy to do. But if you have those worksheets that you want to be able to continue to use with your students, it just takes a little bit of effort and you can continue to use that same worksheet. Now, this doesn't involve you having to completely recreate the entire thing. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll show you how to do this. The first thing you need to have is a PDF, and I happen to have one here. It's called The Basics of Theater. So I'm going to double click on that, and you can see that it's a typical worksheet where students would, there's blanks here, and students would fill information in using their pens and pencils and stuff. But in order to get this into the format that we need, we have to be able to see the entire page all at once. As you can see, right now, you have to scroll up or down in order to see the entire page. So there's this little toolbar at the bottom here that I can click on to increase or decrease the size of my image. The problem is that I can't decrease it any more than it's already decreased for this resolution on this monitor. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to use a keyboard shortcut here to shrink the size of my web page. And by the way, you don't have to be doing this using in a web browser. You could be doing this using Adobe Acrobat or Adobe Acrobat Reader. And if you're using either of those two applications, that's perfectly fine. And quite frankly, it might be a little bit easier, but I'm going to do this in a way, it might be easier to shrink the page, in other words, so that you can see the entire page on one screen without having to scroll up or down. But I'm going to do this so that any of you that might be using Chromebooks have the ability to do this as well. I'm going to use a keyboard shortcut. I'm going to push the Control key down on my keyboard, and I'm going to hit the negative sign up just to the right of my 0 in the numbers all the way across 1 through 0, and then the negative sign is the one after that. If I hit that a couple of times, notice it shrinks the size of my website or my web page. If I hit Control and plus, I'm going to increase the size or increase the size of the page. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to decrease it a couple of clicks so that it all fits on one page nice and easily. And will be very easy for me to take my screenshot. All right, so now you can take a screenshot using one of a couple of different screenshot tools. The first one is the snipping tool, and that comes native to older versions of Windows, Windows 7, Windows 10. That particular application is going to be replaced by a program called Snip and Sketch at some point in time. So if you don't have the snipping tool, you probably have Snip and Sketch on your Windows desktop. And the other option is to use a product called GreenShot. And GreenShot is an application that you can download free from the web. It's at getgreenshot.org. It's an application that I've used a number of times and I have loaded on my computer. Now, I did say that I'm going to make this presentation Chromebook compatible, so I have a little link down here at the bottom capturing a screenshot on a Chromebook. And I can tell you that screenshot on a Chromebook document, I will link in the description to this video. So you'll be able to open that if you are doing a screenshot on a Chromebook, you'll be able to do that. But if you want to follow along, it's really easy to capture a screenshot of the entire screen. You press the Control key, and then this little key up here, which is called the switch window key, and that will capture the entire screen of your Chromebook. Or you can press the Control, Shift, and switch window key, and that will give you the crosshairs like I'm going to be using here, so you can actually draw on your screen and capture a portion of your screen. All right. So now that we've talked about that, let's go back and talk a little bit more about this document here and getting this screenshot. So I'm going to open up Snip and Sketch, or the snipping tool, I mean. I'm going to open up the snipping tool and I'm going to click on the new button. And I'm going to simply drag my cursor by clicking and holding and dragging down from the upper left to the lower right-hand corner. And that's going to create a snip right here in this application of that one page, that full page of my document, the basics of theater document. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and I'm going to say File, Save As, and I'm going to save this as a PNG file. Real easy to save it as a PNG file. And yes, you can save it as other graphic files as well, but a PNG file works perfectly. So I'm going to call this Theater Basics page 1, and then I'm going to scroll down to my second page, the second page of my document, my PDF document, and I am going to get a new snip of that second page now. I'm just repeating the same exact procedure that I used before. And I'm going to File, Save As, and this is going to be called Theater Basics page 2. And again, I'm going to save that as a PNG file. I'm going to save it right to my desktop so it's nice and easy to find. And then once you've saved all of the pages of your PDF, you can actually close your snipping tool and you can close your PDF out because you won't be needing that anymore at all. Okay, now I'm going to show you a little trick here. So if you watch my screen, I am going to click and hold on the title bar up here of my Google Chrome window. I'm going to click and hold, and I'm going to drag that right over to the edge of my monitor. I'm going to crash it right into the edge of my monitor, and I'm going to then let go, and you can see that my window now only takes up half of the page. I'm going to click in the blank space over here, and then I'm going to take the two documents that I saved to my desktop, which were my image files of my Theater Basics page 1 and Theater Basics page 2, and I'm going to drag and drop those into my Google Drive so that I have access to those. Drag and drop. And then they will upload automatically to my Google Drive folder. And then I have almost everything that I need in order to create this writable PDF. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new Google slideshow. So I click on the new button in Google Drive. I'm going to click on Google Slides. And I'm going to create a brand new Google slide presentation. Okay. The one thing that I want to point out with regard to the PDF file is that you did need to take a note, and I'm sorry I didn't tell you this before. You need to take a note as to what the size of that page is. Is it an 8.5 by 11 or an 11 by 8.5? How is it? So it's width by height. In my particular case, it's 8.5 by 11, because in my slide presentation, I'm going to create a slide structure that is a custom size rather than the 16 by 9 format that mine defaults to in Google Slides. I'm going to click on File, Page Setup, and instead of a widescreen 16 by 9 or standard 4 by 3 or 16 by 10, I'm going to click on the custom link down here, and I'm going to change the size of my slide to 8.5 by 11 inches. And when I type 8.5 by 11, I can click Apply, and notice that changes the dimensions of my slide and my slideshow to, in fact, 8.5 by 11. Now, the next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to highlight any of those text boxes that appear automatically and just delete them. I just highlighted them by dragging my mouse cursor over the top of them, and then I press the delete key on my keyboard to delete them. Then I'm going to insert a new background. Rather than having a white background, I'm going to insert a new background in this first page of my slide presentation. So I'm going to say Slide, Change Background, and I'm going to choose an image, and I'm going to go into my Google Drive, into the folder where I stored those two images of my PDFs, and I'm going to choose page 1. This is page 1. I click on it, and I click Insert, and then I'm going to click Done. Now, don't worry if you couldn't follow along. We're going to do this for page 2 as well. But what this does is it places that image as the background of this slide, of slide number 1. So like I can't click on these pictures and move them around or anything like that. So the students won't be able to do that either. So this is a really great way to create the first page of your 2-page PDF, fillable PDF document. All right, so now I'm going to add a second page. So I'm going to come up here and say slide, new slide, slide, click on new slide, and that enters or puts a new slide into my document, into my presentation. Then I'm going to take and delete both of those text boxes again by highlighting and then pressing the delete key on my keyboard. And then I'm going to insert the background, page 2. Okay. Now notice right here, I do have a convenient little background button, and that gets us to the same exact place that slide change background does. I'm just clicking on that background button right there. It gets us to that same exact pop-up window. So I'm going to take and I'm going to choose an image, and I'm going to this time choose page 2. I single click on it to highlight it, and I click on the insert button to insert it, and I click done. And as you can see, it pops right in as page 2. Now there's only one small little piece left to do here, and that is to create text boxes for your students in place of all of these blanks that you have in your PDF, or in this particular case, on your slideshow. So I'm going to go back to page 1. I'm going to say insert text box, and then I'm going to drag and draw a text box over my first blank. And then I'm going to type a little hint for the kids so they know what they need to do here. Please type your name here. And that will give the kids the idea that they need to click there and type their name. Now, you can go ahead and do that, insert text box, and then drag over the word our. And then let's say type your our here. Okay. However, I can show you a really quick and easy way to copy the text box so you don't have to continue to insert them each time. So I'm going to click on this first text box that we created. And right now you see my cursor is blinking in there. But if I move my mouse cursor up and over the blue bar at the top, or the blue outline at the top there, you see I get a 4-headed arrow. I'm going to click on that when I have that 4-headed arrow, and then I'm going to do a Control C and Control V on my keyboard, and that will paste a brand new text box, and then I can resize that text box. Well, notice here where I have please type your name here, I'm going to go ahead and change that to type your answer here. Okay, and then I can resize this text box so that it fits in the space provided. Okay, I'm going to do the same procedure now because I want all 6 of these to be the exact same size with the exact same information. Type your answer here. So I can do that one more time, and I can take and drag that over the top of, in this particular case, this where I want the kids to put answers here. The problem is that it doesn't fit correctly because I want 6 of them down here as well, 6 little text boxes down here that the kids can write in. Well, it doesn't fit, so I'm just going to resize this text box by grabbing my little handles and moving them so that they fit within the confines of that space. Now that I've done that, I can very quickly and very easily Control C, Control V, and then reposition the text boxes so they fit in their correct spots. And that looks pretty good for me. And then you would do the exact same thing with page 2. Okay, now you have a document that is ready to go. I'm going to call this the Basics of Theater Worksheet. And that is ready to go. Okay, so you can now create this as an assignment in your Google Classroom. So let's go ahead and really quickly, I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to go to my Google Classroom and I'm going to create a classwork assignment, create assignment. I'm going to call this Basics of Theater Worksheet, and I'm going to add from Google Drive the Basics of Theater Worksheet presentation that I created right here. Notice I can go to my drive and I can find that by going into making my folder that I created that in and find it and so forth. But it's also notable that it's in your recent. So if it's something that you've recently created, it'll be right here and ready for you. So I'm going to go ahead and create that assignment. And the last thing I want to tell you that you probably should do with this is create the assignment in such a way that students not can view the file, not can edit the file, but you want to make a copy for each student. This way, they have a copy of their own that they can then write in, that automatically saves in their Google Drive, and then they can turn that back in to you, okay? If you create this as something that they can only view, clearly, they can't even write on it at that point in time. But if you want the students to just edit the file, that's a single file that all the students are going to have access to, and that's going to create kind of a nightmare for you because that's only one file, and you want to know what each of the students knows about the basics of theater in this particular case. So you want to create a copy for each individual student. Clearly, you can assign points and you can put due dates and assign topics and you can tell them what the rubric's going to look like and so forth. But as soon as you're happy with all of that, including the instructions themselves, and you just have to click on the word assign at the upper right-hand corner. That assigns the assignment for the students, and then they have the ability to open that up and to type in their name and their hour and fill in all the blanks on your worksheet. So that's it. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to creating a fillable PDF by actually using Google Slides to do it. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks.